Welcome back to the secret underground lair. Our rattan has arrived, so we're now going to start putting this into our door. I have, last video we cut out these strips. That was kind of the last step that we did. And this morning I cut a few of them to length, rough length, now mind you. Let me be a little more specific. The long ones are to precise length. These short ones on the short side are rough length because, although everything fits in here nicely, I am going to have to shorten these guys up to accommodate the width of the rattan itself. So our first step in this process of installing the rattan is cutting the rattan to size. So clearly it is much wider than the opening. So I'm going to cut it the length off and then the width off, and going to leave a pretty generous overhang on both the top and bottom and each side, and then cut a notch so that it will fold up nicely and we won't be bunched up in the corner. So that's step one, cut the rattan to size. Step two, notch. Step three, put it in. What could be simpler than that? The length of our opening is 19.5 inches, and I want to go a half inch beyond that. 19.5 would take us to the bottom edge, but I want a half inch to come up each end. So I'm going to go 20.5 inches in length. In fact, I think I can go a little bit beyond that. I'll go another about 3/4 of an inch, just to the next notch in the rattan, and I'm going to cut it off to length there, and then we'll worry about the width. Nice thing with rattan is that you can cut it just with a pair of scissors, and you do get this line that you can follow just through the center of each hole. And this should be the piece that we want, size that we want. That looks okay. So next thing I want to do is notch out the corner. Having it roll around a lot is a bit of a pain. Let's see if that helps to hold it in place a little better. That's pretty much what I'm going for. What I do want to make sure is that I am even all along this edge here. Otherwise the caning will appear to be skewed. Well, it won't appear to be skewed, it will be skewed. So I'm just going to use a clamp here or two to hold that temporarily. And the trick here, as I recall, is I'll use a couple more clamps, and the act of pulling these over should tighten up the rattan a little bit. So we'll see how tight it gets. Might need to do this a couple times to get it right. Yeah, I do have a problem with the clamps pushing a little bit on the rattan, so I'm going to have to be careful with that. Oops. This is a delicate operation. As I go through this, I'm seeing all kinds of little things that I need to be careful of. One is the orientation of this clamp. So I have made a mistake in the placement of this clamp because it is now blocking the my ability to access this piece here to some degree, not completely, but to some degree. I just have to be sure that the clamp isn't pushing down, the little toe of the clamp is not pushing onto the rattan. So another thing to be mindful of is I have here, this is pushing on the rattan, and I don't think our little piece here is down near far enough. So yeah, lots of little bits to fiddle with in getting this placed right. I'm going to readjust these guys again. Okay, so I have those guys in okay. Just going to adjust this one clamp because he got put on the wrong direction. The toe or the heel of this clamp needs to be out here. Now, let's have a look at that. I kind of like that. And in terms of our holes lining up, I'm okay with it. It's not exactly perfect, but that's really good. This is good. If anything, we're perhaps skewed a little bit this way, but I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to correct that quite enough. But it's worth a try. So I'm just going to try and get this corner pulled up that way a little bit. This corner pulled up that way, so this comes over and this goes down. So just a little minor adjustment on that. Let's hope it's all worth it. So I think what I'm going to try to do is, with this piece kind of roughly clamped, it is stretched, I'm going to put in some pin nails here to see if we can get that held in place the way we need it. So I put a couple nails in this edge and this edge here. I'm going to come along here. I was using nails that were a little too long, and on this nail it actually came through the front surface, so I'm going to have a little bit of repair to do there. This seems to be my problem door because this is the one where I sanded through the veneer as well. So this guy's been a challenge. It's my problem child. And that's a rattan on the door. So I do like the look of that. I do have my little blemish here that I'm going to have to fix. And then, of course, trimming up all of this rattan that comes through here. And I just intend to do that with an X-Acto knife, so I'll cut that off now. Okie dokie, there is a door. I like it. That's turned out very well. Very pleased with that, actually. Now I'm just going to take care of this little blemish here, and then do a little bit more with some wood filler on the front here. Let that set up so that we can get to final sanding not too far ahead. Just thought I'd bring in close for an up close and personal look at how I deal with this little blemish. So I have a nail that came through here, this portion right here, and went a little too deep. It came out here. Just, you know, you can feel there's nothing pointy, although I can see a little silver tip of the maple, a little tip of the nail right there. So the way I am going to resolve this, or fix it, is with a nail set. And I'm just going to take the nail set, and with that nail set, just drive that down a little bit. Create a little dimple. So that nail is now embedded back into the wood. This works well with softwood, or plywood in this case. I will have a little blemish there from now obviously putting that nail set in, but it's just going to be a little dot that'll form a character mark of the wood. So let me bring over the filler and we'll do some filler all around here. What I'm going after here are just little tiny cracks that exist on this little bit of facing that we put in here on this little edge. By the way, yeah, you can see how that facing appears now. We don't have, I'm talking about this little edge right along here. So that, if we hadn't put that facing on there, that would just be some exposed plywood and would be subject to some really easy tearing. So I'm just going through, and where I see any kind of a gap along that edge, I'm just going to fill it in. It's not much in there, but up here, I've got just a little bit right there. Another little wee tiny bit up here. So I'm just filling that in so that it hopefully will be hidden a little bit better. The next bit of sanding that we get on this piece is going to be 180 grit, so we're getting into the fine sanding at this point. Okay, there is one door. I like the look of it. Get some executive approval on that and carry on with the next one. Okay, we're on the door past senior management. We have approval, so we're going ahead now with the other 3 doors. So, but first, time for a bite of lunch. All right, work begins on the next door. There's our second door. I'm pleased with that. Nothing coming through on this side, so that's even better. All right, just take the knife and trim this edge. Now you'll notice I cut this one a little bit short, but even in doing so, I think I'm actually going to be about a ½ an inch short on the rattan. I'm a little pissed off about that because I had ordered a piece that I think is longer than what I actually received. So I might have to place another order tonight. At least it comes quickly, but that's just aggravating. Okay, there is a door cleaned up. So I'll put these two doors on the just kind of stand them in place, and you can get a good look at what they're gonna be like. There's the look. Kind of pleased with that. It's going to work out okay. On to the third door. Okay, you got 3 of the 4 doors on. A little miffed. I'm about 2 inches short of the rattan to do the 4th door. So I just ordered a little more. That should arrive in a couple days. And we'll finish up these doors. Yeah. So that's where we are. In the meantime, I'm going to finish off the shelves that we had started. So at least I can get them done. Yeah, I'll take you along for that ride as we finish up the day. So the first job I want to do with these shelves is just kind of sand over the glue joint that we put down the middle. Do this on both shelves. Broke out the new Ryobi Orbital Sander. So I just went over that, got with 120, just kind of got rid of the roughness of that join. So it's pretty good. I'm pleased with it. It's going to work out okay. I'll do the other shelf, and then we'll work on cutting these to length, and then of course I got to notch them and then put a little face on the front. This little Ryobi sander, this is the new version of this Ryobi sander. I had the previous version of this little orbital sander. This one's very nice. I like it. Okay, on to the other shelf. So now that I've done a quick sand of these shelves, there's a few cutting operations I need to do. The first, of course, is get them to length, which is 27 5/8. Then I need to cut them to width, and then I need to cut them notched, and I need to put a face on them. So a little bit of work on these shelves. Okay, that's one cut. Now some people may be wondering, didn't you need to use a sled to get that cut? I'm just going to bring you over here and show you this this cut that I was able to make with the miter. Now I used a square. You saw me use a square to draw a pencil line down here. And you can see that I have shaved off right on that pencil line all the way down. And that's just using the table saw and the miter. No sled. Of course, a sled would make it easier. I'm not going to deny that. But I currently don't have a sled. So that's how I cut. All right, I'm going to cut the other shelf to length now. Okay, there's our shelves cut to length. Now we'll go and get the width. Each corner of this shelf is a different notch. Going 1 3/8 by 1 here, 1 by 5/8. This one is 5/8 by 5/8. This is 1 3/8 by 5/8. So they're all a little different, which means I had to identify which shelf is the right shelf and which shelf is the left shelf. So that out of the way, let's make the cuts. By the way, just for interest, rigid Ryobi, They play nice. That fits like a glove. I make the shelves a little bit, they do have play in them because there are brackets that have to go underneath them, and I just find it a lot easier to get a shelf in and out when you have room to tilt it. So that shelf is going to sit probably about in here somewhere. We have room, we can adjust it from there to there. So some good adjustability. I'm going to I'll cut the other shelf now. It should be, in theory, the same dimensions, and I can test that simply by flipping this over and trying to put it into this cabinet on this side. Let's just see how accurate that is. So it was in that way on that side, flipping it over. In theory, like it was meant to be. So I'm just going to go trace these cuts on the other shelf, and away we go. We'll cut them out. By the way, if you're wondering what is this thing attached to, this is my Ryobi Oscillating saw. So I've got this jigsaw attachment, of course the oscillating saw attachment, and a right angle drill head, all for this one tool. The right angle drill head and this jigsaw are both rigid tools. Okay, there is our second shelf cut. Now I'm going to cut a piece, two pieces actually, for the facing of this. So I'm going to cut these a little bit closer to length, and then cut them down a little bit to width. They're a little over 1 inch, they're 1 1/8 inch wide, and I probably want it to be about 1 inch thick. But let me get this, I want to get the edges cleaned up a little bit, and the pieces are a little bit long, have a bit of a bow, so if I cut them off to length, it'll make it an easier cut. And I think with all the burning I'm getting on this wood, it's probably time for a new ripping blade. All right, I'm going to run this through the router now to put a little 1/4 inch round over on one corner of it, and then that could be mounted onto the front of the shelf. That'll make a nice face, but first, a fair bit of sanding. Okay, that'll be one face. Do the same kind of sanding treatment on this guy, and we'll put them on. All right, got our shelf here. I labeled the front, so I know this is the top and this is the front, so I don't make a mistake and put this on the wrong side. You know, it's the kind of thing that I've been known to do, so. I'll put some glue on here, then drive some nails into it just to hold it in place. And it will require some filling and sanding, of course, when this is done. And I'll need to trim this little face piece to length. And I thought I would do that after it's installed. And of course I want to make sure the round over is on the top, which it is. That's the first part. Okay, do the second shelf. right, that's 2 shelves done, 3 out of the 4 doors done. A little disappointed that I ran short of rattan. I thought I had calculated that correctly, so I'm not sure if I miscalculated or if I was short shipped, and I actually think I was short shipped. But I didn't check that when I opened the package. That's my fault. In the meantime, we have ordered the new stuff, so that should arrive not tomorrow but the next day. So tomorrow I'll probably spend a little bit of time just kind of finessing these shelves, making them fit perfectly. Probably doing a lot of sanding. So I doubt there'll be a video, but I'll put a video up when I have that final door in, and we'll put in the hinges. So again, thank you very much for watching. Really appreciate it when there's so much else to see. Glad you're spending a little time with me. So I will see you on the next video.